Okay, welcome everybody. We're so glad to have you join us. Um, we'll see everyone here in the gallery here in just a moment. If you can find the gallery view there in your, if you'll close the slideshow, Denise, so we can all see one another. And hi there, hello. Uh, there's a few others who will be joining us, but we're going to go ahead and get started. And with our discovering messages of our horse ancestors. And this is one of my favorite things to do, is to elicit what they have to tell us. And it seems particularly auspicious to do so at this time of the year. And in this particular year, where I feel so much optimism for what's coming our way, even though the difficulties are continuing. So I'm going to first light my candle as is our custom, to call in the ones who teach us to hear and see more than our usual senses offer us, and calling in their history-long partnership for empowering us to enter new frontiers, calling in their power for returning us to our hearts, where our greatest resources reside, and calling in a restoration of our relationship with the natural world, and calling in a balance of the fierce energies around us during this time. So just to give us the opportunity to come more fully present, we'll start with a breathing exercise that I've been practicing and learning recently. And it has to do with taking in a rapid, deep belly breath and then letting it out. The benefit of this kind of breathing, let's do that for 2 or 3 times, is that it takes you out of the thinking part of your body, out of your brain, the busy mind, and it allows you to trigger sort of a centering capacity, setting aside distractions. So let's do that for just a few breaths. Continue to do it. We're moving from the language of thinking to the language of feeling, following your breath and attuning to the sensations that you notice in your body, and feeling as you breathe in that deep breath, sort of feeling that you have a third lung that is your heart that you're breathing through. One last breath like that. Wrap it in and then easy out. And then return to a nice deep in-breath, and then a slight pause before you do a nice easy out-breath. And then another slight pause before you take the next in-breath. So that it gives you the opportunity to go into stillness, a place that will be perfect for our meditations this evening. The initial breathing was to sort of clear our distractions. And this breathing allows us to go into that place of centering and calm. So just continue that for a bit, and in a few breaths, just go into your natural breathing as you feel so moved to. I want to introduce those who are going to be working with us this evening. First of all, Denise Kraus is our techie host there. There you go. Carolyn Jost is our board president. She'll be speaking with us later. Christine Healy will be leading our journey to the horse ancestors. And then Jen Lieber will be leading us in a creative exploration. And Mary Beth Watt will be sharing her poem. She's just so creative. We also have a guest of honor. Ann Sayas is with us, whose story is one of the anchoring points of our time. So I'm so glad that she can be here with us. So now let's as is our custom, I'm going to turn things over to Peggy Dean, who is going to be leading us in calling in the 7 directions. And as she does so, we'll take that into our bodies more fully by actually turning and facing each of the directions as she leads us. Peggy, thank you. Peggy, are you muted? There you go. Hi.
Okay. You can hear me?
Yes.
All right. So if you want to stand up so that you can, I suppose if you're sitting and could turn your chair in 4 directions, that's good too.
That's what I'm going to do.
Okay. So we want to face the east first, and then I'll direct you with each direction. Okay. Spirit of the east, of the yellow horses, season of spring and place of sunrise, we call you to bring your inspiration and creativity to our gathering and to each of us. Thank you for your illumination. Now, as we turn to the south, Spirit of the south of the red horses, season of summer and place of growth and harvest, we call you to bring your energy and strength to our gathering. Thank you for your warmth and connection. And now, as we turn to the west, Spirit of the west, of the black horses, season of fall and place of preparation, we welcome your powers of introspection and exploration to our gathering. Thank you for your insight. And now, as we turn to the north, Spirit of the north, of the white horses, season of winter and place of purification, we call you to bring your powers of healing and renewal to our gathering and to each of us. Thank you for your patient presence. And now, as we look upward or raise our hands upward, Spirit above of the mythical horses, place of spiritual influence and vast beyond, we ask that you shine your light of wisdom on this gathering. Thank you for your compassion and love. And then as we direct to spirits below us from the earth, Spirit below of the horses we see and touch, may our connection with them root and ground us in our learning and our sharing. Thank you for purpose. And then as we touch our hearts, Spirit of the center, we honor our center as we bring our open hearts to this gathering and welcome the spirits of our horse ancestors. Okay.
Thank you so much, Peggy. Beautiful. So now, as Peggy has so beautifully evoked that great orb of being surrounding us within which we are gathering together, just imagine, if you will, that we are gathered in a circle of being, and that we are going to take this journey by starting with just a quick review of the horses through the millennia, these past 40,000 years. We'll start with the ballet-like dressage in the elegant setting of the Austrian arena of the dressage horses. And then a brace of, imagine if you will, a brace of thoroughbreds clambering into a lineup in the starting gate with jockeys perched high. A dusty arena in the heart of Texas flatlands. A teenage girl astride a quarter horse that's eagerly ready to round the barrels. A long distance ride down a mountain trail, tranquil and beautiful. And then step back some 200 years. Horses are important to people's day-to-day work, plowing fields with their horses, pulling a wagon to deliver milk throughout the day, riding a pony to school each day, herd a group of cattle from one ranch to another. A brace of horses pulls a coach full of people across country. A messenger mounts one horse after another to deliver mail. Whole herds of horses are ushered to destinations for warfare. And then farther back, massive draft horses carry hundreds of pounds of armor and mounted men to battle in medieval Europe. Horses are valuable possessions, indicating status vital to a landowner's position in the feudal system. And then 2,000 years ago, in Asia, where horses were mostly found in military and government settings, pulling chariots for transportation in some places, for warfare in other areas, for the sport of polo among the aristocracy, the military, and the scholarly classes. Parmenides, a pre-Socratic philosopher in the ancient Greek world in 450 BC, writes poems that are incantations to draw people into another state of consciousness. In these poems, mayors draw a chariot guided by young women and carry the journeyer into a feminine underworld where he meets a goddess, women, girls, and female animals, harvesting wisdom from a time when the divine feminine held sway. And then 5,000 years ago, small horses, 12 to 14 hands, roam vast prairies, and orphaned foals raised for the first time for domestication. Its wildness curbed by its instinct for a herd which it has transferred to the human family, who feeds it and cares for it, and who finds it to be a helpful member of the family. Desert nomads have their prized horses coming into the tents with the rest of the family. In Asia, these horses are dun colored, yellowish with a lighter colored muzzle, a short upstanding mane with a dark dorsal streak along its back and dark legs as well. And then going back 34,000 years ago, when much of Europe was locked up in sheets of ice that pulsated sluggishly over the land like frozen heartbeats, and a Cro-Magnon hunter working to carve the ivory of a mammoth's tusk into a tiny horse, what you see here, some 2.5 inches long, that he tucked into his belt and later was buried with his body for us to find in recent years. All during these ancient times, they created paintings on the walls to reveal the great majesty that man saw in the horse. The next slide, please, and show the great effort made to recreate this beauty on the lasting canvas of the cave's rock walls across Western Spain, in Italy, and in France. Many colors and sizes, young and old, and know with these, the deep and all of these horses, a deep appreciation for these creatures who have accompanied us on this human journey for over 40,000 years. And now let us turn to a story time. And Anne Sayas, who is with us today, shared this story with me a few months ago, and it was inspired by a dream that she had. And when she actually researched it a bit, she found some of the details of her dream to have some factual accuracy. And so I want you to kind of snuggle up, if you will, for a story time for a moment before we go into our journey to the horse ancestors. And maybe snuggle up in a pile of hay, or on your couch, just imagine it. Don't actually do it, obviously, but imagine yourself ready for story time. And the name of the story is making her mark. You ready? Here we go. Da sat with his arm around little girl. Both enjoyed the warmth of the evening fire. They waited for the signal to begin the walk to the caves. Tonight, she would make her mark. The signal seemed a long time coming to little girl. She signed to Da that she wanted to be excused. She left the circle of light, walked a little further, then stopped and waited for her night vision to begin. The dark did not frighten her. She had often been scolded for walking at night. She knew the dangers, but she liked the dusky velvet covering, brightened only by moon or starlight. Soon she saw the men who had been in the cave assembling at the entrance. It was time. Anticipation filled the air. Tonight, 7-year-olds would be initiated into the mysteries of the cave. Tonight, Da would escort her into the caves, where she would leave her mark in 3 places. In another 7 years, Ma would escort her into the cave for the bleeding rituals. She and Da enjoyed the progress of men with the 7-year-olds. They approached the cave. Men without children had prepared it for their entrance. The walls were lighted by torches placed in holes high on the walls of the cave. The mottled walls glowed golden in the lamplight. The cave attendants began a chant and a drum beat. The sound vibrations filled the space, filled the air, filled the bodies. The excitement within her joined the beat. The sharp coolness of the cave interior hinted of special, mysterious events to come. Da took her into the first passageway to the right. He received a large pipe containing blue powder. The walls were lined with handprints. Da pointed to his handprint. On the other side of the passageway was Ma's print. He told her to find a space for hers. She chose a space as high as she could reach and looked at Da. He nodded and picked her up so she could go even higher. She chose a spot away from the other handprints, alone but part of the community. She placed her left hand as far as she could, and with her right hand, she took the pipe from Da and blew the powder all over her hand and the area around it. He put her down, left her to return the pipe. She stood looking at the space with the purple-black outside spattering around the print of her hand, the space that was hers, the proof that she was there. Her hand was the only one that had a tinge of purple mixed with the black from the charcoal. She held her painted hand with her right hand so that both hands received that color. She could still feel the rough texture of the wall. She let her right hand feel that sensation. She tried to tell it about the other sensation, the sensation that felt her left hand go through the cave wall to touch the stars above, but she did not know how to give it to the right one. She nodded to herself that it was enough. Her left hand received star power. When Da returned carrying a shell with more paint, he guided her into a second passageway. This passage was filled with images of animals. Many of the animals were hunted for food and hides. Some were the large, ferocious animals that hunted them. But the animals that attracted her were the horses. She remembered the day when she first encountered a horse. It was one of the blue sky, leaves falling days that were so special. She had been walking in the meadow. As a breeze played tag with her, it sneaked her nuts out of her pouch. She bent down to pick them up. When she stood up, there was the horse. Usually they did not come so close to people. She could reach out and touch him if she weren't afraid to. Not afraid for herself, but afraid he would run away. She slowly turned and walked to a patch of the sweet grass. She grabbed a bunch and took it back to the horse. Slowly, she extended her hand. He took a small nibble, then more. Then his nostrils tickled her hand. She was close enough that she could smell his hoarseness, his wildness, his independence. In the cave, she found a horse waiting that looked like hers. Here was where she wanted her second handprint. She would kneel down and place it under her horse's nose. She took her right hand, placed it in the shell, and covered it with the rust red paint. This time, her hand seemed to go through the wall to touch the earth and deeper to the roots of the tree above. Now her hand had specialness. Her right hand had specialness, just like the left one. The chanting became softer, but more intense. The drum beat was the same rhythm as her heart. Da took her into the third passage. Here were a series of marks. Da explained she had to choose. Did she want to make 3 marks that reached to the stars to feel their brilliance? Or 3 marks that traced the horizon to daringly caress the earth? These marks would determine the purpose of her life. She considered carefully. She took the charcoal stick with her right hand, made her marks, as if she and her horse were racing along the horizon. Slowly, they processed out of the cave to their pallets. She welcomed the warmth of her covers after the cave's chill air. Dreamtime would be welcome. Her handprints would be her guide. Her marks had been made. Thank you so much, Anne Zayas, for that extraordinary story. And we'll have an opportunity to share later. And I'd love for you to share a bit about your inspiration for that at that time. And so now we're going to turn for a journey to the horse ancestors that will be led by Christine Healy, who has recently become our volunteer coordinator. And as you will see, she is a wise woman of many talents. And she will be followed by Jen Lieber, whom those of you who have attended our stay-at-home sessions in the past know her well. She's our head horse handler, and she's also a wizard with creative endeavors. And she will be following Christine with a creative activity. Okay, Christine, I'm turning things over to you now. Thank you. You're on mute. There we go.
Thank you so much for that beautiful story. That was a journey in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
I want to invite everyone now to go a little deeper and make the connection that we've already called in. I'll be guiding you into with ease and receptivity. I just want you to take a moment and prepare yourself to journey. There'll be some background music. And everyone take a breath. I'm inviting you in to make contact with the ancestors. As the music is opening, taking your precious hands now and laying them on your lap. Opening to receive with grace. There's no struggle, no attachment. Breathing now. Breathing together as we open our hearts and quiet our minds to connect with our ancestors who are here to support us in a question. Following only your breath. If your mind gets distracted, just return easily to your breath. Feeling the energy of the earth beneath you. You are here to receive. Feeling the skies open above you. Everything meets in your heart. Resting now. Breathing deeply into that heart space. Quietly and lovingly. Just return to the breath. Softly. Easily now. Here, here in the warm glow, the soft and safe cave. Where our hearts receive and our hands make the messages. Taking your hands now and bringing them to your hearts. Breathing. Appreciating. The fine-tuning that we have. As descendants. We give thanks for what we've received. As we make our way back. Slowly and gently. Coming back into our bodies. And when you're ready, taking a deep breath and opening your eyes. Quietly, gently preparing to engage with what wants to be put on the paper. It may be words, it may be colors, images. Just keep the channel open. You are that.
Welcome. As we arrive back from our journey with the ancestors, came back from our meditation, now I'm going to invite you all to envision your message. The message that you gleaned during this time with the ancestor horses. Imagine your message is now being accompanied by an actual guide or teacher. They've come to sit with you. They have special wisdom and support they want to offer. As you settle in together and explore your recently discovered message, take a moment to feel into this now shared space. Let those images rise playfully around you. Welcome them. Here in our first step, we're going to be looking for 5 symbols or words that could represent a value anything that might want to come forward from the time that you've had with your message. It could be a simple symbol or doodle. It could be a value or a word, something that represents the feel of the message that the ancestors had for you today. The value could be like community or play or appreciation. Just as these inspirations appear, please just draw or write them down on one of your pieces of paper. We'll take the next few minutes or so to do this. Just trust and follow any impulses that come to mind. You might even check back with your body, see if it might be saying something. The first few words or doodles or symbols may have come really quickly to you, but if you're kind of at a loss for the next ones, what we could do to reconnect is just gently place your hands back over your heart and rebreathe that message anew. Just know it's there. Trust that it's coming. We'll take another minute or two to wrap this up. You can have more than 5, you can have less than 5, but just feel into what might be there one more time. See if you've collected the best part of your messages. Now, as we're bringing this part of our creative endeavor to a close, I'll ask you guys to take a breath and just take a look over the list that you've created. And just as you scan your eyes over your symbols or words, pick the thing that stands out for you most. What feels most alive in this moment? You can just do that quickly. When you find the word or symbol that has the most aliveness, just give it a little circle on your page. Yeah, circle the one that stands out. What's calling to you? Okay, next, we're going to follow our discoveries just a little further, and we're going to unfold into them by engaging with this one image or word that we just picked. And we're going to look at it and we're going to ask the question. It's going to ask us and tell us, I'm here to teach or show you. It's a question that you can just write about and fill in. You just simply let the words flow. It's a form of free writing, and you just put down whatever comes to mind. There's no right or wrong. There's nothing that needs to make sense. It's a feel. And you just feel free to trust that and follow any thought. And if you get kind of hung up, you just go back and you just start the process over again. And your word or symbol will say, I'm here to teach or show you. And just free for write whatever that message may be for you. Okay, we'll take a few minutes to collect our written form of our message. If you guys are feeling stuck in any way, it's okay. You can just pause, take a breath, reconnect to that word or image, and starting again, gently asking, letting it tell you, I'm here to teach or show you. And then in the next moment, just follow whatever comes to mind. Let it be playful, like the horses bucking through their pasture in the spring. All right, we're going to take the next few moments to kind of finish up the writing portion of our creative activity. Just like the horses that have been in the spring pasture and they've gone from one patch of clover to the next, they've nibbled just enough, and now they're going to stand in the sun. And as we find ourselves warm and standing this still spot, we want to take a moment to reread what we've just written. And once you go back and reread that collection of your inspired writings, I'd like you to just underline 2 or 3 words or thoughts that seem like they hold the most charge in what you've written. Like the horses in the spring, that the grass they're drawn to, just underline what draws you in. Where is that sweet grass inside your writings? I know it's there. Let it surprise you. Let it inform you in a way that you didn't know was there. All right, once you have your 2 or 3 thoughts or words that have the most charge for you underlined, we're going to move to our final step. In this step, we're going to go ahead and take our second piece of paper. I'm going to start afresh. We're going to get our pencils out. We're going to pick something that feels truly delicious to us. And we're going to connect with those materials. Let that pen or pencil really enjoy the feel in your hand. Choose whatever you're drawn to. No right or wrong. We're not making art. We're going to make an intuitive sketch of the couple of lines that you've underlined. So this next step is to thoughtfully connect with our creative materials, like you've seen me do with the rope, the belly of the rope with the horses. And when you're ready, ask, what shape or color or texture do my underlined words inspire? It's not literally about a specific image, but it could be. But try to do like I do with the horses, connecting and following that feel through your rope or pencil. Let it just unfold moment to moment. Again, no right or wrong way to do it. So we'll spend the next few minutes feeling into this process. If you feel like you've got enough with one color, change. If you feel like you need a moment to reconnect, you can always put your hands on your heart and then go again. Sometimes I like to close my eyes. Feel like we're back in the cool of the cave. Slow your marks way down. See if there's a repetitive pattern that shows up that just feels right. Make that now. Or follow wherever your thoughts and feelings are taking you. So now
Jen, you're muted.
there we go. Okay, I hope you can hear me now. Great. So now that we've had a little bit of time to explore with shapes and colors and textures, sometimes I look down on my page and I think I have no idea what this is. It might evoke a feeling and you might shut your eyes again. And in the last few minutes, I invite you to put a word or a poetic verse or something that you feel strongly called to onto your drawing. It's just an intuitive sketch, and there's maybe something that jumps out at you that you want to lay down onto the paper, some sort of word or poetic kind of writing that brings something all together for you. It's not necessary to add words, but if you feel so moved, we can go ahead and do that at this time. So I hope all of us have had a minute to kind of maybe bring things to a little bit of a close. While we're winding down, I just want to say that I've adapted this exercise from one of my teachers, Rachel Rose, from the workshop Muse. And I really want to thank everyone tonight for joining us and the ancestors today. Probably here in a minute, we'll have a time to have some open reflection. Oh, what? Oh, wait a minute. I've just heard the ancestors have one more question. They're asking me to ask you. They really, really wish to know, what is one surprise or lingering curiosity that stands out from you as you look at this experience that you have obviously created here on your page? And you can either write that down or you can kind of hold those thoughts for the next part, which we're going to do, which is my favorite, share. So like the horses come back to grazing in the spring afternoon sun, because they like to eat a little and then rest in the sun and then eat a little more. We're going to settle in together and take this time to reflect on the wisdom that we've been able to gather here today. So I'll let Trish, since she can see everyone.
Let's everyone go to the gallery view if you can, if you know how to do that. And
what do we find? What's out
thank
there?
And so first I want to thank you, Jen, first of all, and Christine for leading us in that elegant journey. And I'd like to just take the next few minutes for us to share with one another. Maybe I'll start because for me, this was kind of extraordinary. When I got to the ancestors, what I found was a 7-headed white horse that I heard about for the first time yesterday as part of some of the ancient myths from India that comes out of the churning of the Milky Ocean. I don't know. I frankly had never heard of the 7-headed horse, and it was very kind of puzzling to me. So for that to be the horse that came to me was interesting, and I wanted to see what wisdom it had for me. And so I actually, if you can, I don't know if you can see it, I actually made a kind of sketch of it. You see? 7 horses.
I love it. I love that. I couldn't have guessed that. It looks great. I love the different color manes. I love that they're all looking in the same direction. They feel very connected and very powerful.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So what I realized was that they were, each one was they were 7. So that's like the colors of the rainbow. Okay. So it was like, you know, in the white, it's a white horse. So it's made up of those 7 colors. White light is made up of those 7 colors, like the rainbow. And when it's, you know, prismed out. And so it was like, the message was one of wholeness, that, you know, that to trust the wholeness and also to know that horse, that I could get on that horse, that I can at least have that horse walk with me. And, but hey, you know, I think maybe I should get on that horse. And that it has to do with trusting in the face of so much brokenness, people suffering, so many things in our world that are broken, you know, efforts that have not come to fruition, that this horse is calling me to remember and trust that there is a larger wholeness that's happening, that we're participating in.
I love that it has to have 7 parts to be whole. That
Right.
It's not just one horse that you're going to get on and try to go one way or direction, but you have the opportunity for 7 directions, 7 colors, 7 perspectives, 7 excitements, 7 directions. I think wholeness in that way is fantastic.
See, what I did was
Ooh.
I grabbed 4 markers, one for each color of the rainbow, and I held them all at the same time and just
Okay,
played with
thank God
it.
nobody watches you. Good job.
And then,
love
and then
it.
and then the
Thank
word
you so
that came at
much.
the end was to trust in the wider wholeness. Because I sometimes don't do that lately, you know. Okay, that's my
Good job.
sharing.
Well done. So exciting. Thank you for sharing that with us, Trish. I'll think about that for a while. I'm going to try to
You're
figure out if I
welcome.
can ride a 7-headed horse.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I never even thought of that.
I hadn't either. Never even heard of such a thing until yesterday. Okay.
Does anybody else got something as exciting to share, or just a gentle understanding that might still be developing, or even just one word or one part of the exercise that might have stood out for you than another? I'm curious, always. I can't see everybody.
Mary Beth?
Oh.
Okay, I am sharing partly because of what you said, Trish, because I think my message was very much similar. And I'm going to preface this by saying that I am very tired. I had my second COVID shot Friday. Yesterday, I was so tired I could hardly see. I had chills. I had a headache. I felt terrible. Today, I've been going all day. And when let's just say that I thought I was sleeping through the exercise,
Oh.
and it turns out I wasn't. Because, well, here I'm going to show you what I drew.
Bring it
Prefacing
closer.
it by saying
Okay.
art is not my forte.
No, it's great.
And
Tell us
so
what it is. It looks like a cauldron.
it
but I
is a
don't-
cauldron.
Oh,
is
okay.
a cauldron, definitely. I didn't know it was when I started drawing it, but it is. And then the words that I got were: the fire is hot. Gather with us, feel the warmth of the flames, see the light, hear its power, taste and smell the smoke. Know the power of being. It is the reason for the journey. Allow your senses to be inflamed. You will be changed. It is that change you offer to the whole of being. And to me, that was the point, the whole of being.
Nice. Yeah.
I love how strong the images are. That's I could taste it and feel it as you were saying. And to be whole, we really do need to stretch outside of that comfort zone and really feel into the edges and what's on the outside. Like the places that I do with the horses is the space in between. We can't just stay like this. We're gonna have to come out of the pods into the ethers. Thank you, Mary Beth. That was really powerful. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else?
Christine? You're on mute. Yeah.
Just briefly.
Ooh, that's
I-
too loud.
All right, how's that?
That's better.
Okay. Just briefly, to sort of put my mark on what's already been brought into the circle. When Jen asked the question, or to make the statement, I'm here to teach or show you, I heard self-trust.
Yeah.
And, you know, I suppose that's what we're all navigating in some way or another as we stay shoulder to shoulder with the horses and with each other during these times.
Yeah. self-trust is one of those things that we don't know that we need to cultivate. We think if we just trust outside, you know, around us or whatever we see or whatever, that we're really doing that. But I think there's a level deeper. So when you go that far down into like something that says self-trust is what I'm really trying to experience, I think that might be a whole new thing. You might take one of those 7 heads of your horse and see if they can give us a little bit more insight into what that might be. I think I might explore that myself. Thank you for that, Christine.
Yeah,
Self-trust.
I mean, it feels whole, between what Tricia shared,
Mm.
and Mary Beth has shared, to bring it back to the individual. And
And how much easier it is to do that when we are shoulder to shoulder. You know, horses, when you separate one from another, especially if there's only 2, usually both of them go right away to like not feeling so good. But if you put horses together, and even as you watch them kind of mirror one another down the end of the pasture grazing, when they have each other shoulder to shoulder or tail to head or wherever it is that they're standing, that proximity to one another gives them that ability to trust and to be present like they fully are in our environment. So that's
Right.
really cool.
yeah, and this was the image I got.
Oh, yeah. That's
And
really
so funny, speaking of self-trust, because I wanted to make it go away, but I heard that childhood rhyme, only it changed. Starlight, star bright, I wish I may, I wish I might be the love I am tonight.
oh,
May it
thank
be
you.
so. Yay, thank you.
Thank you, Christine.
Someone else.
Okay, what other brave soul is out there in my herd? I can like kind of flip through and
Peggy.
see.
Peggy's got her hand up.
Oh,
Thank you.
Peggy. Can't. There she is.
As I got cozy with the ancestor horses, they asked me to bring my grandchildren, to gather them around me, which I did. And then they said, what do you want for your grandchildren? I said, well, I want them to be free. I want them to have space to express. I want them to be relevant. And they said, that's what we want for our children.
Mm.
So I'm going, okay. And then I'm here to show and teach you that there are values to be held for all living things, that all living things need space to grow and become who they are.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Really powerful, Peggy. You know, when we think about horses, what I know about them is oftentimes they value space over touch. Our natural instinct is to want to pet them, especially right here in the face. And that is a nice thing sometimes, but they're really good at owning that space around them. And space for them is, it's like a resource. It's a luxury, but it's also something to be clear about. And so to have that message be so clear, and to have the wants of for your grandchildren be that as the same as the ancestors, that again, that just seems like it's such a great whole message for all of us. Freedom, relevance, space. Am I missing one?
The other one was that I wanted, was remembered, to be remembered.
Oh,
Mhm.
I'm sure that'll be true. Thanks for sharing that, Peggy.
You're welcome.
And thanks for sharing a little time with your grandchildren in the circle. I'll be
Yeah.
curious what they have to say to you next time. Maybe they will have felt that.
And don't we have wonderful horses down through the ages and even now who are remembered for
Yeah.
who they are, for the great things they've done, for what they've contributed, for their relevance to our lives.
How they've touched our hearts.
Uh-huh.
Lucky, really lucky, really grateful. All right, is there one more shy horse out there standing behind the herd that's just a little itchy to get back into having something to say, going to be a little sassy, swing their tail, kick up and say, my turn. Well, we don't all have to be artists and we don't all have to have these great words, but what I'm hoping for is that as these kind of messages that you've gleaned tonight unfold into your life, that you'll find a way to honor and give them more and more space and a wholeness that will give them the meaning that they've come here with us tonight to give you. I really hope that for each of you. So
And
thank
would
you so
be-
much for joining
Yeah.
us to do this
Yeah,
exercise.
yeah. And Anne, would you be willing to share with us a bit about how you came to write that story?
It's so good. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, the story started in November when I was with a group doing group dreaming around the Day of the Dead. And one night there were only two messages in the dream. One was a square that had sort of a marbled orangey gold color. And the other were marks. Can you see?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No explanation with it, no understanding with it. I had no idea what it was. I just recorded the dream and went on. Then we were in the Dromanon activity with Elizabeth Austin and Peggy Rubin. And after Peggy's exercise and talk, she asked the question, when were you around a children's fire? And it immediately came to me that I was around a fire before going into the caves. And she said, write a story. So I wrote a story, but the story kind of took on a life of its own. I started dreaming the story in that liminal state right before going to sleep. Little girl would come and she would talk to me and she said, this happened and this happened. And then the next night she would come back and she says, now don't you forget, go write it down. Don't you forget, because you're going to forget if you don't write it down. And so that happened for a couple of weeks until I got the whole story down and a little bit of research with it. And that's it.
Wow. Don't you love that?
It feels so timeless. It's just a timeless story. I feel like I could insert myself or my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren's, or past before me ancestors, and it's relevant in any person's life to be able to know that there's a community or a herd there to help you make your mark. It's so universally necessary. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. It was very powerful for me to read.
Thank you for
I
the
really appreciate it.
privilege and the honor of doing it.
Yes, it was so fun.
Other thoughts from some of the rest of you? Colleen, do I see you getting ready to say something?
I don't know. I could, again, I'm doing without my cursor because I'm using the bar. So just speaking of timeless symbols, and this may or may not be clear because I used the pencils, that it's sort of part of a pond of concentric half of the concentric circles radiating out with ripples between them, because there was the pulse, the beating of life, and the the ancestors were reminding me of immediacy. It was the immediacy that the moment, the smallest gesture, the simplest action can occur only in the moment. And then when we had the playfulness of the horses, it was in the next toss, leap, catch sensation or noticing. So my actual drawing turned out to be kind of a horse gesture of being
Can you
in action.
lower it? Can you lower it just slightly? There you go. That's better. Okay. Oh, that's lovely. I see a lot of movement and color there.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Words were strong.
Whoops. Your words were what? Oh, you went mute again. That's odd. There
Here.
you go. Okay.
So it was a funny thing because it was, I mean, head strong is not a good thing, but it came as two words, head strong,
Oh,
sure footed, lift off. And that was being willing to leave the solid known world behind. So that was pretty much that. So
hmm.
it was it was really a wonderful journey. I love the sense of recognizing in the lines the movement of a horse. So
Yeah.
thank you.
We know what they say, Colleen, is that all potential movement is held in stillness. So the vibration that you find in the ripples in between, that's potential. I love that. And the other thing that I love about that idea is that even the smallest, I can't remember exactly what you said, the smallest detail, the smallest thought, what I'm always kind of trying to do with the horses is this idea of doing less sooner so that we stay more connected. So that the idea of being softer and subtler and softer and slower and quieter and less, it becomes more and more and more effective in how we stay connected to the horses. So to notice even something more and more subtle is the thing the horse teaches me every day. So thanks for bringing that up. That's part of what I love to do in my space with the horses. Notice that subtleness, which has the potential for anything. So that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that.
So in a few minutes, we're going to, I'm going to ask you to put into the chat a phrase of what you're going to be taking away from this experience, taking home into the future. So just be thinking about what that phrase might be that you can type into the chat there. And while you're thinking about that, I'd like to call on Carolyn Jost, our board president, to just give a few words of a message from our board of directors and our organization. Carolyn?
Okay.
Hi, Carolyn.
Well, first of all, I want to welcome, hi, everybody. I want to welcome everybody to our first stay-at-home session of 2021. Woohoo! I think it's a real treat to be here and to have you all here. So thank you. And I also want to thank you so much for your contributions to our success and the blessings that came about in 2020, because it's pretty extraordinary. The horses are preparing and are very excited to get back to in-person sessions upcoming. This year we are expanding our services, not only to women surviving and thriving with breast cancer, but also to women who are experiencing other types of post-traumatic stress due to the events of 2020. Take your pick. COVID, fires. Anyway, that includes healthcare workers and just any other women experiencing PTSD. We have developed some standards and procedures to help keep us all safe during COVID times. So if you know somebody who you think might benefit from what Writing Beyond has to offer, please, I invite you to visit the website and see what all is coming up, what all is in the works. There's a lot of exciting stuff coming up. I mean, if you yourself feel like getting more involved, if you're interested in further exploring the gifts that the horses have to offer us during these unprecedented, challenging, unpredictable times, there's a lot on the website, excuse me, to look into. So anyway, thank you so much for being here. It's been a real treat. And I'll turn it back to Trish.
Yes, and we are looking for a few highly skilled volunteers, people who might want to volunteer who have horse experience. And so you can go to the website for information on at writingbeyond.org. And there's information on volunteering and participating. And you can contact me or Christine Healy, and all that information is on the website. I know there's another 7 or 8 people who registered for this stay-at-home session who evidently are looking forward to seeing it in the recording. So that message goes to them as well. So I'm just wondering, Mary Beth, are you feeling up to sharing your poem, or would you like me to read it instead? Mary Beth?
Yes.
Yes.
I was just going to say, I do feel up to it, but the thought of having you read it is really makes me feel good. I would love to hear you read it.
Oh, okay. I
if you don't
will.
mind. Yeah.
I don't mind. Okay. I'll give it a try here. All right. I've read it several times, but. And so this is called Writing. And here we go. I am I, and I am whole and proud. I declare it on this barren hillside. Well, barren, but for some small red flowers and some nasty saw-like grasses and, oh, these ants and that creature over there. I am horse. You are horse? What? No more? Would you have yourself damn yourself with such faint praise? I am horse. But what does that mean? What do you do? How do you think? I am horse. It is enough. Well, I am me. I can walk on 2 feet and I can see. As you can tell, I can talk. What's more, as wonderful as I am, I aspire to such greatness as none have so far comprehended. I am still horse. Yes, I aspire. I would be yet greater. If only I could leave this hillside, I could wander free, tell my tales to others, escape this barren place. I am horse. This hillside is enough. You could be more as I could be more. We could cover vast distances. We could win battles. We could rule all those who are, only one or only the other. I am horse. I am me. I will mount you if you let me. We will conquer everything. Come mount me then. I will show you what it is to be enough. I will show you what it is to be enough.
Thank you for reading that so beautifully, Trish. I loved hearing you read it.
I'm glad you did. That was fun to read it. Okay, so let's take a moment as we're closing for you to please, if you haven't already, enter into something into the slides, into the chat, I'm sorry, into the chat that holds the sense for what you are taking away from this time that we've had together. If you will, write that into the chat. And I'm going to take a moment also. Is everyone finished? So just take a moment and think about the message that you're taking with you, and blow it into your hands. And then place your hands as though on the walls of the cave. Place them out here. Put them in front of your face so that they can be seen on the screen. Put them against the camera of your computer or whatever it is, okay? Hold them there and then blow behind them, blow them into the future. And Denise, you're going to take a screenshot, right? You got it? Yeah, got it. Okay, I'm going to send you that screenshot, okay? And I'm also going to gather the words that you've shared and see what comes of that gathering. And so I thank you all for joining us, and I have a parting wish for you. Denise, if you'll show that final slide.
Oh,
This is Mystic Moon here with one of our supporters of Writing Beyond, Barbara Chasteen, is a great horse healer herself. And these words to you: may you gather with others and find ways from your warmth and generosity and in the company of the horse ancestors to forge a way into the future that we hold possible, the future that we hold possible in our hearts. Best wishes to everyone. And thank you for joining us this evening.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.